If you're stuck in a job that maybe is good on paper, but it makes you feel empty, you're scared to leave because you think maybe it's too late or you don't know what you're going to do if you leave. Maybe you're waiting for the right time. Trust me, I've been there. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no right time. I quit my job at 32 with no backup plan, just literally conviction and faith. And here's what happened. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 things that you need to unlock for you to get there too. If you want to quit your job but can't do it, stick around. I promise you, you will have so much more drive and confidence in yourself. If you don't know me, my name is Zinab. On this channel, we talk about how we can be the best we can be while still being imperfect. So if that's you, hit the subscribe button. Maybe I'll start with why I quit my job and how. The how is actually funny. I don't recommend it, but I'm quite proud. Why did I quit? Simply because I felt so miserable going to work. I remember waking up and it was just so heavy on my mind that I was just starting to question myself, wondering, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And the answer was a very strong no. It started before lockdown, but then after the second lockdown, I was made redundant. I had a very big career in finance. I was climbing ladders. I worked for the biggest media companies out there, but I just felt so empty. I had no purpose. I'm working for someone. I'm making someone else rich. They don't even know I exist. Why am I feeling this way? I think the trigger for me was that finance is very busy, right? There's certain times you can't really be away because you have to be there to file accounts, right? In my head, it was always a struggle to book annual leave. It came to a point where I was like, why should someone else dictate when I can take days off or when I can rest? I was working at Disney at the time, and I just knew that if I asked my manager for some leave, I would have to wait forever. Maybe not wait, but I just know that they would have to make decisions based on the time of the year. There's just some moments where it went too far. I just never felt that free in my life, and I wanted freedom so bad. One thing that really pushed me to just quit my job without thinking too much is, at the time I really, really wanted to go to Saudi Arabia to perform Umrah. And I couldn't because borders were closed during COVID. So I had the money. As soon as borders open, I'm going. After the second lockdown, when everything opened, I didn't have to think twice. I booked my trip straight away. And I booked it without my manager's consent. I felt like I was the priority. I need to get out. My mental health was so bad. And if I didn't go, to be honest, I don't know what I would have done with myself. So I booked that trip and I let my manager know, and I told her, this is booked. You're either happy with it or, if you're not, I'm fine to leave. I was on a temporary contract and I only had like 2 weeks notice or something. So it wasn't that bad, but that's what I did. As expected, my leave wasn't kind of approved, and they were like, yes, but we would need you for budget time next year, da da da. I was just like, fine, thank you. My trip is booked, I'm going. And so I quit that job straight away. That is the best thing that happened to me. And I cannot stress it enough. And you can say it, you can tell from my smile that was the highlight of my life. If you're still watching, please take this as an inspiration and a motivation to have the courage to do it, because I'm going to tell you why. I was scared too. And I know you might be scared because you don't know how you're going to earn money. How am I going to make a living, And that was me for a long time. But before I quit, I knew this was kind of happening for maybe 5 years, no, maybe 2 years before that. The feeling of leaving was building gradually, and it just got to a point where it was just clear. But because I knew I was going to leave one day, I had a few savings. But still, I feared for my life because I live in London, and I think no one talks about how hard it is for someone who comes into a different country. They don't speak the language. They're still young, just trying to figure out life. Having financial concerns on top of that is actually so scary. I have no one else to pay my rent, to pay my bills, so I had to build it up myself from scratch. So if you're scared, trust me, I feel you. But the freedom, mental relief you get from it is unmatched. I also feared that I would have to go back to my old jobs if I was struggling financially again. To be honest, there's a part of me that was also kind of guilty because I studied so hard to get where I was. I studied masters in France, then I kind of left everything to come to the UK, and then I started working full-time, and during my full-time career. I was also studying part-time for my ACCA qualification. If you know about it, you know how tough it is. For 2 years and a half, I did that. After I got my qualification, I felt like this is the hardest, but also the biggest achievement I made. And so leaving my job, corporate finance job, for which I studied that qualification, it felt like a waste of time. Also, I don't know if you can relate, but my parents are immigrants. They came to France in the 90s, and if you're an immigrant child, you can probably relate to this. But you kind of work for your parents, not like they force you to work for them, but you want to make them proud because they sacrifice so much for you. So when I left that job, I felt like I was kind of betraying them. So I do get this point. But also, I just know that my parents wouldn't want me to feel miserable. That's where I allowed myself to do what I wanted to do. The first 30 days of starting over were actually amazing. Well, first of all, I went to Umrah. So that's the first thing I did. I went with my mom, and till today, that's the most amazing thing I have done for myself. After I came back, I had so much freedom. I felt so much happier. I have no clue what day it was, what time it was. I was living life the way I wanted to live it, going with the flow, waking up at whatever time, eating whatever I wanted to eat, and not having any sort of obligation. And that's where I knew that that's how I wanted to live my life. It's not that I'm a lazy person, but I want to live life in my own terms. After a while, I felt lost, very much lost, but not in a bad way. It's just that I didn't have any routine to stick to anymore. It's very hard to pick yourself up when you don't have set times where you do things. I had to figure out myself. So yeah, there's a time where I felt like, okay, now I need to pull myself together somehow. But in the chaos, that's how I gained my identity back and my religion. You know, when you have a title and especially you have a career, you kind of define yourself by that. I don't necessarily do that myself. I've never described myself as I work in finance, I work in that company, da da da. So like status doesn't matter to me. But it's very hard to describe yourself as a person. What is it that you do? Who are you as a person? You start wondering what good you do to the world rather than who you serve or who you're trying to please or how much money you have or whether you own a house or whatever. What I also gained is what is it that I actually wanted to do with my life, because I kind of had an idea, but it's so much harder to actually put words to it and start making steps. Like practical steps to where you want to be. But that's something you have to do right. You're not going to get there by miracle. So what did I actually do? I always knew that I was made for more than just working in a company. As much as I wanted at some point to have a career and climb ladders, I just felt that I had bigger purpose. And from there, it kind of unfolded by itself. Aside my corporate job, I love fitness. Fitness is the passion. I've been training for years, but something I found so rewarding is to make other people feel better. I started doing that. I started teaching classes. I just started building my fitness business. So it kept me really focused and driven because I'm not doing things just for myself. I'm also helping people get better physically and mentally. And that was such a big drive. Another thing that I did, I had started a YouTube channel a while back. By the way, you can watch this video where I talk about how I started from scratch after like 7 failures. But yeah, I had a YouTube channel that I kind of paused, and before the YouTube channel I had a podcast. During this time, my free time, I was just thinking of a new way of reviving it because I knew it was just on hold. It's not that I've given up, it's not that I like completely failed or whatever. It was just sitting there until I had more time to get into it properly. And that was the perfect time to do it. That is why I can now record these videos, because this is what I want to do. I'm hoping this inspires you to do the same. I don't think I would do anything differently. I know that maybe I would say that if I really knew how happy I would be, I probably would have done it way earlier. But I think that's the problem we all have. We always wait for that moment. We wait for it, but there is no good time. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you want to do it, and like think about it, but do it. Be a bit impulsive about it. Don't be reckless, but be impulsive, because you'll be stuck in the same cycle over and over again until you decide to break that cycle. Unfortunately, that's not something that I can do for you. But at the same time, I really hope this gave you enough confidence and courage to do it. So what's next? I am 100% sure that is still the best decision I've made in my life. And I will continue to follow my intuition, to follow my dreams, to have the conviction that I'm meant to do more in life than just working 9 to 5 for a company. There's nothing wrong about it, by the way. If you're passionate, if you love your job, by all means, do that. But I just know that most people feel trapped, unfortunately. Remember this. 3 things you need to unlock to get here. First one, like I said, you need mental permission. You need to allow yourself to actually quit, even if, I studied for so long, so hard to make my parents proud and happy. And so I felt a bit guilty when I left my job. But I think my parents wouldn't want to see me miserable anyway. So that's how I kind of overcame it. Second thing you need to do is you need to be ready to find an identity outside the system, because when you've got a job or a career status or whatever, it's easy to define ourselves by what we're doing, but we are so much more than a job. You have to be ready to lose yourself to find yourself again. And the third thing you need to unlock is you actually have to have a sustainable strategy. You need to be prepared to work hard, because it's not easy. The post quitting is something else. In my case, no one was going to pay the bills. No one was going to pay my rent. I had to figure it out all by myself, starting from scratch, which is really, really scary. But you have to be prepared to do that. Quitting your job is not going to mean you're going to be free. That doesn't mean you're going to be just chilling. I think that's it. And like I said before, if you're interested in knowing what I did before that, where I completely failed, the stuff that I started before this YouTube, I made a video about it. It's called 7 Failures Later, something like that. I'll put it up on screen. And I'll see you soon.